This is Matador News, and these are today's headlines. Santa Barbara residents living in vulnerable areas are forced to evacuate before today's heavy rainfall. CSUN names a new head coach for its men's basketball team.
Hello, and welcome to Matador News. I'm Jamontae Hickman.
And I'm Melissa Rodriguez. A third nor'easter is hitting the East Coast today. Residents are still recuperating from two previous storms. Today's storm has already caused 1,600 flights cancellations. Train service has been suspended and schools are closed. Several 100,000 people are already without power. Blizzard warnings have been issued for Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Maine. Boston is expected to have up to 12 to 18 inches of snow.
Newly fired Secretary of State Rex Tillerson says he'll stay in office until the end of the month to make for a smooth transition. Tillerson aide Steve Goldstein told reporters Tillerson learned that he'd been fired after an aide showed him a tweet from President Trump. Hours later, the aide was also fired by the White House, reportedly for contradicting the official administration account of Tillerson's firing. The decision behind Tillerson's firing comes after he clashed with the White House staff on foreign policy and disagreed with Trump on issues, including the response to Russia's cyber aggression. Trump told reporters the decision to fire Tillerson was his and current CIA Director Mike Pompeo is his nomination to take over the State Department.
Now for quite some time, tremendous energy, tremendous intellect. We're always on the same wavelength. The relationship has been very good, and that's what I need as Secretary of State. I wish Rex Tillerson well. We're at a point where we're getting very close to having the cabinet and other things that I want. But I think Mike Pompeo will be a truly great Secretary of State. I have total confidence in him.
The Senate needs to approve Pompeo's nomination. Trump is arriving in Southern California today to view the prototypes of the wall plan for the Mexican-U.S. border. Later today, he is headed to Beverly Hills for a fundraiser, and he is scheduled to spend the night in downtown Los Angeles. The Los Angeles police says it is ready for traffic and for protests.
Austin, Texas police say they see similarities between three package explosions that killed two people. Police were scrambling from one scene to the next between two explosions within hours of each other. Yesterday, another explosion on March 2nd killed a 39-year-old African-American man, a 17-year-old African-American male, and was killed early Monday. And a 75-year-old Hispanic woman was severely injured midday Monday. Austin Police Chief Brian Manley says people should be very careful with suspicious packages.
The victim in this incident came outside of her residence and found a package out front, and she picked up that package, and at that point the explosion, the box detonated.
Of course she's scared because this can happen to anybody, my sisters, my family, my neighbors. That happened to my neighbor.
So we again are praying and thinking of her and hoping for a recovery.
Police have not decided if these are hate crimes, but said that it's a possibility because of the victims' races.
In Alabama, the driver of a charter bus carrying high school band students is dead this morning after the bus crash. Students were on their way back to Houston after a trip to Disney World. Local police say the bus fell into a 50-foot ravine after striking a bridge support. The bus was crushed from the impact below the bridge, trapping students and staff inside. It took about 3 hours for rescuers to get everyone out of the wreckage. One person is in critical condition and 5 others are in serious condition. Interstate 10 has been closed down until inspectors say the bridge is safe to reopen.
Students across the country are expected to walk out of their classrooms Wednesday morning to protest gun violence. Matador News reporter I'maiya Milan has more on the story.
Thank you, Melissa. 1 month after the latest mass school shootings in Florida, high schools and universities nationwide are walking out to remember the lives that have been lost. The youth branch of the Women's March Empower is focusing on calling students, teachers, and allies to take action. This protest is not only a memorial, but a way to enforce action against current gun laws. The organization's website says there are more than 2,500 walkouts being planned. One CSUN student says taking action can help foster new gun policies.
I'm an international student, and I come from a country where guns are not allowed legally, and only police officers can have it. And knowing that a normal citizen who I'll be living with would also can have a gun, I don't feel like being in this country. The country does not feel safe.
It will not stop here. Students, activists, and supporters are also planning an event called the March for Our Lives on March 24th to pressure Congress for stricter gun laws. Now back to the studio with Jamontae.
Thank you, Maya. 5 people were killed in a helicopter crash in New York City. The only survivor was Richard Vance, the pilot. New York officials say Vance started experiencing problems with the aircraft 11 minutes into the flight. The pilot considered landing in Central Park, but realized that he was trained to do water landings in an emergency. While over the water, he tried to shut off the fuel lever, but saw it was already depressed. The floats on the aircraft didn't deploy properly, causing the helicopter to flip over in the East River. Passengers were harnessed tightly and had to get cut when emergency workers reached the helicopter. Medical examiners ruled that all the passengers died from drowning.
Today's special election in Pennsylvania could provide early signs of whether Democrats can retake the House in November. Republican Rick Saccone will take on Democrat Connor Lamb to replace former Republican Representative Tim Murphy. Saccone says Democrats are doing their best to get a seat.
The Democrats are trying their best. They're throwing everything they can at this race. There hasn't been an open seat for a long time, and they see that they might have an opportunity, so they're going to do everything they can to get there.
At least 41 Republican House members have announced they are retiring or are not seeking re-election this fall. Democrats need 24 seats to become the majority in the House of Representatives. Whoever wins the special election will serve only for a couple months before having to run again for the 2018 general election.
Some Santa Barbara County residents have been evacuated from their homes. 2 storms this week will bring rain to Southern California. The rain is expected to cause a debris flow, putting the Santa Barbara burn areas at risk. A flash flood warning is being issued. Montecito, Summerland, and Carpinteria will also be affected by the upcoming storm. Officials say residents can return as soon as it is safe.
Now let's go to Sammy Shaktah with the latest in business.
Thank you, Melissa. Apple will now start yet another service for its customers, a magazine subscription. Called Texture, this subscription was developed by top magazine companies and will include around 200 subscriptions in one monthly service. The service also arrives as Apple is trying to rev up business. This highlights the decline of print media and its transition into the digital realm. Apple plans to reach $40 billion in total revenue for all its services by 2020. Volkswagen CEO Matthias Müller says the company will be part of a solution for diesel pollution. The statement comes after the 2015 controversy when Volkswagen was caught rigging cars to pass U.S. emission tests. They had to pay over 20 billion euros in fines and settlement fees. Müller says the company will invest 34 billion euros in electric and other eco-friendly methods of transportation by 2022. This will give the company a competitive edge as the European Union is set to create tougher emission guidelines for a Volkswagen sold in Europe. Now let's go to Aaron Peeples with the latest in health.
The American Society for Reproductive Medicine says this week it plans to review the refrigeration malfunctions that have damaged or destroyed potentially thousands of frozen eggs or embryos. Many hopeful parents are asking what options they have going forward. Attorney Tim Merriman says the options are likely to be legal.
They all potentially could have claims. Their damages may be different depending on their life situation.
Merriman says the most important determination will be who is to blame.
Is it the hospital? Is it some kind of vendor? Is it a manufacturer of the refrigeration system? There's a lot of different options.
Fertility clinics around the country have been double and triple checking their equipment to ensure there are no further issues going forward. Health officials have issued a warning elevated bacteria levels in local beaches after rain runoff has reached the oceans. Swimmers and surfers are advised to stay out of certain beaches in Los Angeles County all week. Swimming in contaminated water can cause minor to mild illnesses like ear infections. Health officials say that as long as you stay away from storm discharge sites, you should be fine. Now let's go back to Sammy with the latest in entertainment.
The one and only Snoop Dogg is releasing a new gospel album called Bible of Love. It's set to release on March 16th, which is just 3 days away, and will feature 32 tracks. Snoop Dogg says this is something that has always been on his heart. This isn't the first time he has recreated his image aside from his original rap style. He created a reggae album in 2011 under the persona Snoop Lion. The Church of Scientology now has its own channel on television. Church representatives say it's time for them to tell their side of the story after building up the hype on Twitter, their app, and their website. Scientology.tv says the network started on Monday at 2 in the afternoon on DirecTV. The new programming will give viewers an inside look of Scientology as well as background information on the religion. Now let's go back to Aaron with the latest in sports.
Big West Tournament champion CSUN women's basketball is in the NCAA tournament as the 16th seed. Led once again by two-time Big West Conference Player of the Year, junior Shannon Fluker. Fluker led the Big West in rebounds, blocks, and was third in points per game. They will be playing number 1 seed Notre Dame, who is ranked 4th in the country by USA Today. They are led by junior Arike Ogunbowale, who led the ACC with 20 points per game. The game will be played Friday at 2 p.m. and can be seen on ESPN2. The winner will face the winner of the 8th seed South Dakota and the 9th seed Villanova game on Sunday. CSUN's men's basketball has some exciting news. Matador news reporter Thomas De Jesus is in the newsroom with more.
A week after Reggie Theus' firing, CSUN named a new men's head basketball coach this morning. Mark Gottfried will be the 6th head coach in the program's history. He will replace Theus. CSUN President Diane Harrison introduced Gottfried to an optimistic crowd. He hopes to revitalize the struggling program.
The NCAA tournament is, without a doubt, it's the greatest show on earth. You can have the Super Bowl and you can have all that other stuff, but the NCAA basketball tournament is the most watched event of any. And our goal here is to take a program that has struggled. It has struggled. And that's okay. But to find a way to set our goals to one day participate in the greatest show on earth, which is the NCAA tournament. Now, I've been fortunate, very fortunate.
Gottfried is entering his 20th year as a basketball coach. He spent the last 6 seasons with NC State, leading them to 4 NCAA appearances. Speaking of new changes, Aaron has more news on the NFL's busy offseason.
The season hasn't officially started, and yet there is already unprecedented movement in the NFL. Arguably, the 4 biggest free agents have reportedly already signed. Quarterback Kirk Cousins will sign a fully guaranteed deal with the Minnesota Vikings. Quarterback Case Keenum is going to sign with the Denver Broncos. Wide receiver Sammy Watkins will leave the Los Angeles Rams for the Kansas City Chiefs. And cornerback Richard Sherman will sign with the San Francisco 49ers after being released by the Seattle Seahawks. 12 separate trades are already in the works, reshaping the needs of many teams. All these deals will become official tomorrow. Now let's go back to Melissa with weather.
It's a rainy day in Northridge. It's currently a cool 60 degrees. We will see showers for the rest of the day with a high of 65 degrees. But don't put your jackets away because there's going to be a low of 50 degrees this evening. We'll have mostly sunny days the rest of the week, with the weekend being partly cloudy.
A 10-year-old boy from Texas got the chance to pull his mom over and issue her a traffic ticket Monday. The Fort Worth Police Department hosted a swearing-in ceremony for Dakin Lovelace, who suffers from a rare genetic disorder, spinal muscular atrophy. As long as Dakin can remember, he's always wanted to be a police officer. The department also gave him a tour of their headquarters and let them spend some time with the new recruits for the day. Thank you for watching Matter News. I'm Jamontae Hickman.
I'm Melissa Rodriguez.
I'm Sammy Shaktah.
And I'm Aaron Peeples.